Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome, and it's always a challenge to present just after lunch. But in case you fell asleep, we have some videos with sound. So
Exactly.
this is Veronika.
So we promise to keep you awake. So that's our promise for this half an hour.
Sure. So I'm Vincent.
And I'm Veronika.
And before we get into the subject of learning culture and how to establish this, just a few words about ArcelorMittal. Just by a show of hands, how many of you know which products we are contributing to steel? But
1, 2, 3, okay.
For which applications do you know? Well, if you look around you, there's many objects in steel in this building, on your table, in your car. So indeed, there's steel everywhere. And even for products which are not made of steel, the machines used to create those products are often made of steel. Think about wood, for example. So we are a big company, 160,000 employees, 59 countries, 16 with operations. We produce around 70 million tons of steel per year. That's the weight of 7,000 Eiffel towers. So think about it, that's quite huge. We have a lot of research and development happening with $300 million budget per year. And these are the applications, so automotive, packaging, energy, which is windmills, solar panels, gas pipes, construction, and transportation, which can include rail, boats, planes, you name it. So this is just a super quick overview on some of the applications, but certainly not an exhaustive list, of course. So, to go into the subject of today, why would we like to develop a learning culture? I think from this morning's presentations, especially the first one, you know that we live in a very changing world, a VUCA world, with the U meaning unpredictable. And there's a constant evolution of the required skills. People have to be actors of their own developments. You can not only mandate learning, but people have to be responsible for their development. And as you can see in most of our companies, formal training is still necessary, but it's not enough. So you need to establish a culture. And the unpredictability of the world requires a certain kind of learning agility, and we believe at ArcelorMittal that this learning agility can only be achieved if there is a proper culture behind it. When you look at the type of knowledge we have to deal with, and here I'm not showing the people's knowledge, like the people's skills, or that some people call also the soft skills. But if we look at those two categories, we have on one side the things that you can hire. So you can hire someone who has a degree in finance or in mathematics or in science. And then you have the company knowledge, which is growing more and more in volume, and which is much more changing than the stable knowledge that you can get from the university or from someone joining the company, which means that you need to constantly train your own workforce on the products, on the processes, on the policies, on the culture, the tools, and so on. Also the market conditions that are evolving. It means that you need to hire not only people with skills, but more importantly, people with a certain attitude, people who are ready to learn, people who are willing to develop themselves, and then bring the conditions and the proper tools and culture to allow them this development. And this is where it can become sometimes quite challenging for people, because if you are HR and if you do only HR stuff, and then suddenly you see all these things coming around digitalization, data analytics and so on, you can be a little bit lost. But this is where if you have a good learning culture and the proper tools, you can help your different functions to expand their horizon in terms of skill set. And nowadays, it's no longer very siloed, like IT people do only IT, HR people do only HR. People need to learn to do a bit of everything, although they have to remain specialists. So I'm guessing that some of you may be familiar with this diagram showing some of the future work skills. I think it was created around 2015, something like that. And it was predicting that in 2020, those were the future skills that you need. And I think if you look at what we see here, I don't think I have a laser pointer, but you can see that many of those here are now becoming reality in our companies. Think about new media literacy, how to use social media to communicate internally and externally, cognitive load management, virtual collaboration. This has been, in the last 2 years, extremely developed by everyone. So, in summary, I think we need to shift from a very old-fashioned way of considering learning and training from a stock approach where you have to learn as much as possible and keep that in your brain just in case you need it. I should have written just in case training to switch to something which is more just-in-time learning. Like you learn better when you are about to apply what you learn because you need it right now. So, our purpose then is to create an environment for continuous learning, which is efficient. People need to find access to learning materials and experiences. It has to be safe, adapted to people, inclusive. So, to do this, you need tools, you need content, you need platforms. But all this doesn't work if you don't have the right attitude and culture. So, based on that, we have developed a few guiding principles for establishing a learning culture. First one is that anyone can learn. When we created our corporate university, I think it was even before I joined the team, that was back in 2005, it was mostly for engineers and for leaders. So it was a little bit like a traditional university. Only 5 to 10% of the workforce could participate in the program, which were mostly face-to-face. Then we wanted to bring really learning to as many people as possible, so anyone can learn. Also, there are many ways to learn. You can learn by reading, by exchanging, through a short video of 2 minutes, through a learning expedition of 2 months. So there are many ways to learn. You can learn every day. There is no one day of the week only. Any day can have learning opportunities. I'm sure everyone can agree with that. And learning is part of your normal day. If you look at what Josh Bernstein is saying, it's in the flow of work. So how can we put learning in the flow of work? And that one, which I like, there are no silly questions, which I think is well established in all our companies. People can ask questions. But in addition, I would say there are no silly answers. So people are free to contribute, to try to teach others, even if they are not the top expert on the subject in the company. We want to create an environment where they are free to give advice to others. So we're going to show you a few tactics that we have put in place to try to achieve this ambitious mindset or environment. First of all is access to learning for all. So to have a platform that allows a democratic access, taking care of a multi-language offer. We have a lot of employees. Our first spoken language is Russian. We have people in Ukraine and Kazakhstan. That's 40,000 people there. So we need to provide access to Russian content, but also Brazilian, Portuguese, and so on. We need to involve senior leaders as well. We have to be aligned. Alignment is a very important word in business, but it's really important to be aligned to our competency framework. To support our ambition, because we are a team of 6 people at corporate, we need to rely on a network of L&D and HR people. Making learning fun and engaging, we're going to show you a few examples later, and have a multi-channel communication. I wouldn't say an omni-channel because we are not on each and every platform, but a multi-channel for our learning events. And I will now pass to Veronika to tell us a bit about the access for all.
Thank you, Vincent. So let's now see how this is applied in practice. access learning for all. First of all, what do we mean by all? So ArcelorMittal is a very big firm, and we have both blue workers and white-collar workers. So we need to provide learning to be accessible for everybody, not just for people working behind their desk, but also to those who are going into the field and working every day with steel. So our basis is our virtual campus, so a learning platform that is made accessible to all, so for all the people around the world. And we implemented it in 2010, if my memory is right. And each year we see an incremental increase of 20–25% or even more. So for us, this 70K connected learners every year, it's actually a huge number if you consider that most of our workers are actually maybe sometimes even don't have an email address. So they access to the virtual campus through another global account, or through another desk, or through a global, let's say, service point that is offered. So via this virtual campus, we implement different types of learnings that are offered. So most of them are internally based, meaning that we collaborate and we work with all the countries around the world to establish a learning that is created internally. But we also work with providers, external providers, to have an offer that is full of audiobooks, ebooks, business videocasts, skill pass, also recordings from internal trainings that are made, and so on. So we try to curate this virtual campus as much as possible to make it targeted to the skills that our people need. And not only, we try to be inclusive as much as possible, so not only providing a platform that is as accessible via computer, online, but that is also accessible via the mobile phone. So people maybe, while they're commuting, they can go through a 10-minute e-learning, 10-minute training, listen to a podcast, listen to an audiobook, and so on. We also have a Wednesday micro-learning email that is coming out from this virtual campus. And the added value of this email is that, first of all, it can be adapted to the different languages. As Vincent said, so across our population, people speak many different languages. So the newsletter it's coming out can be coming out in English, in French, in Spanish, and so on. So it's adapting to the learner. First. Second, with releasing the micro-learning email, it can attract the learner to access again the platform. So starting with this, which example we have, projects drive everything. So they first watch this one, and then they turn into something else. And going forward, we have an idea to create the next micro-learnings based to the internal sessions that we recorded through the year. So we are doing internal sessions with our main leaders, and we will use some key moments to implement into the micro-learning email going forward. We also, so part of our HR strategy is to, in fact, offer multi-language service. So basically, we would like to equip all our employees around the world to be able to speak another language or to become more fluent in English, because English is not the first language of everyone. It's not even mine. So I'm, for instance, right now, not learning English, but I'm learning French within the tool that we have. So because I'm Croatian, but I speak English, and living in Luxembourg, I need to learn French as well. So we also ourselves, as learning specialists, need to somehow lead by example if we want that our people do the same, right? And in fact, the language offer that we provide and that we share with our people, it's also adapted to the language that they speak. So the communications that are coming out, it's aligned to their first language. So let's imagine that we have someone in Brazil. They receive the communication in Spanish or with their
Portuguese.
Or Portuguese, yes. So they receive the communication in the language that they set up on their profile. So it can be also Italian, English, or whatever. So the system adapts to the profile, to the settings that they made.
And currently currently we have around 3,000 people on the other languages. So we have 5,000 in English studying and 3,000 learning French, Italian, Russian, etc. So
yeah, but the language factor for us, it's very important. Again, being a so big firm that has entities and segments all around the world, adapting to the first language of our employees, it's essential to everything we do. So going forward, in an ideal world, all our e-learnings, all our trainings would be automatically translated to the first language of our employees. So this is our, let's say, goal for the years to come. And we are exploring, in fact, some tools for automated translation that we can use in our daily emails, in our videos, and etc., etc. We will show you an example soon. And another important thing is that we involve senior leaders.
Yes, indeed, and we promised we would show you some videos, so let's go for one. This is an extract from a senior leader session, which was on change management. And last year in December, we decided to create those kind of Christmas videos, like Advent calendar videos. So there was one video per day. So let's watch one of them.
It's very, very much about putting in place the organization, the means, the governance, than trying to do everything by yourself. I don't know for the rest of you guys, but I'm an engineer, so we are a company with a lot of engineers, and I was educated in France, and I'm telling you, when you are educated in France as an engineer, there is one thing you learn, it is to work alone. It is fundamental to learn to get the organization in motion by giving the responsibility to the team and giving them the means and the governance to support the vision. We are so many to work to produce this beautiful product, but the change is realized through humans. So at the end of the day, you have to, understand what's in our mind. Okay, and what I'm trying to tell you here is how we collectively as humans can succeed together. This is leadership, this is change management. So as leaders, we are of course in charge of a business, but at the end of the day, we are running a human organization.
So, since we speak about senior leaders participating, we have in our management committee 24 people. Unfortunately, we have only 2 women, but I hope soon we will have more. 14 of them in the last 2 years participated in our learning events. So I think it's quite remarkable because if you look 3 or 4 years ago, that was nearly maybe 3 or 4 people. So we have now a better support from the management. As an example, last month we had the World Mental Health Day, and we did a special session with Dr. Bill Mitchell from London, and 2 of our senior people, so Nicola, who is head of communication, and Stephanie, who is our new CHRO. And this was organized through a Zoom meeting, and we coordinated with some video production to have everyone in a meeting together and to broadcast to, I think, 700 plus people in that session. So in a nutshell, for senior managers' contribution, we try to ask them to lead by example, and we don't really need to ask them. They quite naturally consider learning as something important, so they stress that importance to their people by also dedicating time for learning. Also following up on the targets of the business units. When they launch important training programs, they are very much involved in checking that everyone progresses well.
And to add on what Vincent just said, I would like to invite you to reflect on what does it mean, the shadow of the manager. So most of you maybe here are managers or are employees who will be future managing somebody. So try to reflect on what is your shadow. So what do you translate to the people in your team? So this is something very important, because you can inspire, but also not. Another very important topic for us is our competency framework. So at ArcelorMittal, we have a competency and capabilities framework, and everything we do is aligned to these topics. More specifically, it's aligned also to our communication. So what we communicate in our Teams channel, for instance, as you can see on the left, we structured our Teams channel with the topics of our competency circle. And in each channel, we go into details and we, let's say, emphasize and promote what we would like to practice.
We share some good reading materials. We share information about the upcoming sessions. And that's also sometimes a dialogue that is established with all participants.
Exactly. More in practice as well, another great thing that we do is that we have a monthly team. So we have an annual planning of the things that we do, and each month there is a specific team. So under each month, each Wednesday has a different cascading activity that we do. I think that is me. So basically, this is actually the thing that I like the most, if I need to be honest. So with the Wednesday 3 p.m. session, we established a kind of habit. Is it again me? We established a habit. It stopped. Okay. We established a habit to organize and deliver each Wednesday at 3 p.m. a session on a different topic. So on the Wednesday, we have jam session. On the second Wednesday, we have guest speakers. We invite the leaders of our firm to speak up. We have a learning circles to exchange and interconnect with the other people around the countries. I don't click anything, I swear.
It's in autopilot.
Okay. Okay. So, and the last one, it's about English forum. So we invite people to practice their English skills and exchange. So here, what I like the most about this example is that people can network. So they can get to know people across different type of entities and segments that they didn't know before. So as our firm is so big, let's say this is the one advantage that we can give to them. For example, it happened also to me last week that in one of these sessions, I met another person from Croatia, so from my original country. So we started to exchange and to interact like this.
Yeah. And we had, since January, 19,000 attendees in those sessions. That's 500. Yeah, we can use the, yeah, sure. So how to support this? We need a network, because 6 people to do all of this, it's not possible. So we have external partners, of course, but we have also an internal network of L&D people. So we have a specific training program for them, explaining what's their role and how they can support us. And it's a win-win thing. So we give them some tools. We pay for the licenses of authoring tools, of marketing tools, video editing tools, etc. And they use that, and they help us to cascade the offer in the local populations. Also using Teams to announce some best practice things. So here we have 20 minutes on how Kazakhstan is using Instagram to communicate to their employees and to the outside world as well. We also collect good practices. Anytime we see something good, we put it in this kind of forum. So any good project done in one part of the world can benefit others. We are also announcing the next session. So at end of November, we're going to speak about video editing with DaVinci Resolve. We're going to have a rapid e-learning development workshop, graphic design, and so on. So we bring a lot of tools to them. Now, we also want to make learning fun and engaging, and we promise there would be more videos to come. And the principle is to do the sandwich approach. So you do a bit of learning and a bit of fun and a bit of learning. And the first time we started this, I think it was like 3 years ago, where we create these amusing moments or learning moments. AMU meaning ArcelorMittal University so there's a word play here. And we try to collect a few famous comedies, and just this one is about inspire trust. And I think you can understand why someone is trying to shave you. You need to have trust.
Do you know this movie? Have you ever watched it? Okay.
And as an example for a funny thing we did recently, I will let you see the video.
Remember this strange lady wandering around in the Petrus building back in October 2021? It seems like the lady is back with more tricks and treats in her bag. Let's follow her in her quest for awesome Microsoft Office tips.
Windows plus E, open File Explorer. Windows and E.
Boom, right there.
Thank you very much. Control plus N, open a new window. Control N, a new window.
A new window, just like that.
Control plus mouse scroll wheel. Change the size and appearance of file and folder icons.
At the end, I want to know how many you discovered new, huh?
This is your trick. There you go. We're gonna close it. Oh, and ta-da!
This is exactly what I needed.
Hey, do you want to be on camera? You want to do one of the tricks?
Wow.
Okay. So it's Alt Tab or Control Tab, and then what happens?
Okay.
See what happens? You can pick between all the open programs you have. You can see them all right there.
I never tried this on my computer.
Try again. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Yep.
Have you learned something new?
Yeah.
Good.
Nice masks, huh? So to enable all this, we need to use different communication tools. Nothing really surprising here. We use emails, we use Yammer, Teams, Stream, we use our email signatures. We also develop intro and outro videos during our live sessions and use also more traditional things like posters, flyers, and so on. This is a video channel we have where we post all our recent, I don't know why it's all going like this, and a SharePoint site where we also have the programming. We are also using social networks to crowdsource a little bit. So this is about what we want to do next year. We ask the question, what do you want to see for the Global Learning Hour next year? So we have already, I think, 15 or 16 people who already responded and giving us some feedback. Here is an example of an outro video.
Do we have time?
That's 1 minute.
And these type of videos are shared before and after a session starts, so the waiting period is not wasted in a certain sense, and they have something to see and to learn.
So, since its time is up, I think just a few takeaways we can suggest to you. First of all, I'll do one and you do one. Okay. First of all, try to create learning habits. Find a way to mobilize your employees around a certain time of the day. There are sometimes companies who do something called 5 at 5, like 5 minutes at 5 p.m. But there are plenty of scenarios you can imagine. Also dedicating a certain time of the week for training. In one of our plants or even one of our business units, they say Friday afternoon is for learning. Okay. Standardize your approach. Well, sorry.
Yes, you can standardize your approach to the emails that you're sharing. So in fact, we really noticed that the Wednesday email, it's working because people are expecting it. And I jump to the next one. It's very important that whatever you do, that you make fun of it. So people learn faster and better if they're having fun also while they're doing it.
Having a human touch as well, it's not always easy to engage when you have a session of 300 participants, but believe me, we manage through chat and things and using some funny comments to establish a very relaxed but yet very productive and learning atmosphere. So this is something important, especially if you do a mass communication and mass learning as we try to do.
Yes, cross-marketing, so what we showed you before. So intro videos, outro videos really help a lot to keep your learners and your people engaged and on point.
Engage senior management in the journey as speakers, as sponsors.
Yes, and of course, build capacity of your network. So the bigger you are, the better. It's not necessary that are strictly L&D or HR people. Expand your network also to the business people.
Reach learners where they are. Try to use different ways to communicate on mobile phones, on PCs, maybe even putting post-its on computers for people who don't lock their computer. I've already seen that. And align to your learning events on the company priorities and the skills models that you have for your company.
Good.
And
Thank you.
Thank you for your attention.